72 hours, goddamn, I feel amazing. Damn, I'm in the matrix. My mind is living on cloud nine, and this line is never on vacation. Start off that Maserati and
Hey, what up guys, Hoarcrux here, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you probably one of the most oppressive mag DK builds I've ever seen. It's pretty annoying. I didn't really give it much thought. You know, I heard in the community thrown around a lot to run a couple of these sets together, and I've never really thought to run them in this way, which I don't think anyone is running them the way I am, but I know that this set combination is out there. So if this offends anyone, just know that I'm not taking credit for any of this build, but the way that I have it set up, I'm 100% taking credit for, because I don't think anyone is running these two sets with a mythic item in the way that I do. So without further ado, this is the Tempest build, and we're going to hop right into it. So first off, Dark Elf is probably the best race for this build. Bewitched Sugar Skulls as always. Health recovery is very important. Run the Mage Mundus. Okay, so we take a look at our character sheet, completely unbuffed. A nice meaty 40k max magic pull. Spell damage will go up to 3k once everything is buffed. Critical resistance will be 3k once I have the stones to rearrange one of my traits, which I do not have at this time, unfortunately. Mag recuv, health recuv, stamina recuv, everything as follows. If we buff everything up here, you can clearly see we got pretty much 3k spell damage. Health recovery go up to 1100 when we have our major fortitude popped on our back bar. 1200, excuse me. Magic recovery is in a super sweet spot because of the traits that we're running, and we're taking it full advantage of the combustion passive. Spell and physical resistance is a little bit lower than what I typically run. Typically I would want at least 25k in each pool, but the potions and the skills that we're running greatly cover the mitigation that we're missing out on, just basically through healing. So let's go ahead and hop right into this set, shall we? So first set, running Elfbane. So if you guys aren't familiar, here's what it does. Screenshot it, do what you gotta do. Running Charge. The reason we're running Charge is for uptime on our combustion passive. Pretty much anytime we apply anti-fire or flame effect, we get 500 magic back because of the burning status effect. We're running a weapon enchant jewelry, berserker enchant on our front bar. Main reason I'm running this, a lot of people run disease or charge. Well, disease really only affects one target. Charge, you'll see in just a moment that you're not going to want to run charge at all. And then this is just kind of the happy medium between disease and whatnot. Not only does this help with our damage, it also helps with our healing as well, because we do a lot of our healing on our front bar, not just our back bar. So that's why I have everything is as such. Obviously, have it golded out. You get more spell damage for golding it out. The next set we're running, keep in mind this is Elfbane on the front bar only. I'm going to explain why this works in just a moment. Back bar running Overwhelming Surge. You farm this in the Tempest Island dungeon. It's pretty easy to farm this on normal. You can go in there and tank this shit yourself. So the main reason we're running this on our back bar, just by reading it, I would not think that this set would have the uptime that it has. So it says when you do damage with an ability, blah blah blah, 33% chance. Well, that 33% chance is very, very high actually. So we'll take a look here. We'll just go ahead and pop it. You see down right now our buff bar, our Hrothgar, and our lightning proc. You see this lightning? Look at the range on this. And this is pretty much up 100% of the time. For example, let's say just one target with one set of dots. We're just going to apply 2 dots, swap to our back bar, and pretty much immediately procs. By the time we can pop a rapid regen or a wings, it's already procced. And that was just on one target. So extrapolate that over 3 targets. If we have it on 3 targets, this is pretty much 100% of the time when we swap to our back bar. Now, the only snafu that you run into is, since we're running Elfbane, the whole point of running Elfbane is twofold actually. We're running it for our other set, Hrothgar, which I'll explain in just a moment, but we're also running it for one of our skills. It's probably one of the heaviest dots in the game. It's really good CC. Yeah, I wouldn't run this skill otherwise unless you're running Elfbane. So the way this works, the only really mindful thing you have to keep track of is your Hrothgar procs. So for example, let's get to proc here real quick. Of course it's going to take fucking forever for no reason. You know, typical. Okay, it's just not gonna proc. But when I swap my back bar, it procs. Okay, so now it procs. So as long as you pay attention to when it procs, usually some of these add-ons kind of bug out and fuck up. But in the kind of middle of the screen there, you should see Grothgar pop up. All right, so now it popped up. The timer reset. I don't know. It's that one of the add-ons are really weird. So what you want to pay attention to, it doesn't matter what add-ons you use. You need to pay attention when Grothgar procs. So when Grothgar procs, you can do whatever you want, blah blah blah, for 10 seconds. But right before Grothgar ends, it's very important that you swap back to your front bar, if at all possible, just so you can get the other proc of 10 seconds instead of the 5, so you can maximize the uptime of Grothgar. You can't always do it because sometimes you get heavily pressured, but I'd say 90, maybe 85% of the time you can get the full benefits of Elfbane, it being on your front bar only. Which is really advantageous because this allows you to run 2 proc sets. While, you know, Elfbane bolsters one of the proc sets, and also run the Malacanth ring. Now, the Malacanth ring, in my opinion, if you're running any heavy armor build with any proc set, you should always run Malacanth. The only exception to running Malacanth would be no procs and possibly running light armor. I would not run Malacanth. But if you're running heavy armor, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably want to run the Malacanth ring, just because the benefits it offers are just substantial. Alright, so with that kind of explained, I'll come back to this a little bit more in just a moment. I will explain a little bit more about overwhelming, though. So not only is this being bolstered by our Malacanth ring, you know, at 1400, that'll be bolstered up to, you know, 25% more, or whatever that is. It gives us stats back. I would say on average, 2 targets, you can get, over the 6-second duration, you'll get about 1,000 magicka back, which translates to about 330 magicka recov, since this pretty much does 100% off time. I don't know why my Grothgar is still going off. I don't know what the fuck. It never does this while I'm in open world. So, so yeah, that translates to 333 recovery. Plus it does damage. Plus it does lightning. And what does that mean, Hoarcrux? What the fuck does that mean? Who cares if it does lightning? Well, the good thing is, since we're running a charged trait on our front bar, anytime this procs, we pretty much have minor vulnerability up on our targets at all times. So take a look at this target Wraith of Crows, okay? Minor vulnerability up. If I can get this to proc, swap the front bar, 1 to 2 ticks, it's going to proc minor vulnerability. So what this means is you have minor vulnerability up on all your targets in your AoE. So you're doing 8% more flat damage. That applies to your proc sets, that's all your dots, that's fucking everything. So if you want to look at it that way, this overwhelming surge, which you could run on your back bar most definitely, is giving you minor berserk. It's technically minor berserk, 8% more damage. It's giving you 333 magic recov for a 5-piece, and it's also doing damage. And you know, when you compare this to other 5-pieces in the game, like, this is absolutely a phenomenal set. You know, I was struggling to try to figure out a build to run this with the Malacanth ring, but the fact that this has the 33% proc chance, you pretty much keep this up indefinitely, even though it's on your back bar, and it's wonderful. So it's just amazing. And the good thing about it is, you know, you're still super tanky because you're in heavy armor, and you do have kind of low resistances compared to what you would expect with heavy armor, but don't worry, we're going to take care of that here in just a moment. And the last thing I want to point out before we go on into the rest of the gear is that it does have absorb magic and enchant. I just like, you know, having extra magicka. You can put whatever you want here, really. I just like having the absorb magicka. But if you are running these pots that I'm going to tell you guys, it is Essence of Speed. It gives you major expedition. It gives you vitality, major vitality, which is probably one of the most broken parts about the shit, and it also gives you heroism. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. These are very expensive, very, very expensive. Just keep that in mind. So I'll let you guys read it here. Having minor heroism on DK is insurmountable. Not only that, you have major vitality, increasing all of your healing done by 30%. Which is fucking incredible. Plus you have a resto staff. Alright. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the passives, but I'm just going to go over for those who don't know. Resto staff, you're going to do a lot more healing, just in general. plus you have Essence Drain. So you have major vitality, you have access to major mending, you have intrinsically more healing just because your heavy armor, 8% more healing. You have your Resto Staff, especially when you're low health. This is bolstering your heals by another 15%. So along with the potions, along with heavy armor, along with the Resto Staff, your coagulating blood, which I'll go over in a minute, this is a thick dick heal. Super thick dick heal. Whenever I pop the vitality pots, whenever I pop this one, I'm below 50%, I am always capped off at 100%. It's absolutely absurd. And you can compare that, well, combine that with rapid regeneration. Rapid regeneration with major mending and major vitality. Holy shit, guys. This is like a 30k heal over 5 seconds. So the mitigation that we're losing out on is taken care of just because of the pots that we're running. Now, not everyone's going to have access to these pots. That's okay. I'll go over an alternative bar setup in just a moment. So let's finish out the gears. Sorry for going off on a tangent. So yeah, we are running 115, 1 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. The only way to get your full Undaunted is for you to run 4 Elfbane on the body with a 6-piece Inferno Staff. This is the only way to do it. You can't run Overwhelming on the body or whatever. You just can't do it. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on one of your Undaunted pieces. So I have 1 Overwhelming piece on the body, 2 jewelry, and then the staff on the back, which gives you our 5-piece. Yeah, you miss out on the spell damage a little bit on your front bar, but who cares? The spell damage applies on your back bar as well. It helps with your healing. And then we have the Malacanth Ring. Now for the traits, I would suggest Reinforced on your legs and your chest. Impin is fine as well. The rest of them, I would either run Impin. You could possibly run Reinforced on your head as well. And then the rest of the pieces, I would probably run either Sturdy or Well Fitted. Just depends on your playstyle. You have a lot of options when it comes to traits, actually. I have Tri-Stats on all the big pieces just to have our health pool over 20k, which I mentioned in one of my other videos is very important to have, especially if you're not running any wards. As far as the enchantments are concerned, I'm running 1 magic recuv, 1 spell damage, reduced magic cost. Reduced magic cost works really, really well on heavy armor classes because this reduced spell cost is not mitigated by other cost mitigation passives such as the Breton passive and the light armor skill line. If you'll notice, it says 203 is how much it reduces the cost. Now let's say if you're running 5 light, you toss this on a light armor build, it'll still say 203, but when you go and compare the tooltips of the magic cost before and after application of the reduced spell cost glyph, it's not 203. It's diminished proportionally to how much cost reduction you already have going. So if you have Breton, for example, is like, I don't know, 8-10%, something like that, and then light armor on top of that, then that means this is going to be reducing your reduced magic cost spells by about 18%. So it's not worth it to run on light armor builds. Only run cost reduction if you can on heavy armor builds, in my opinion, then run recuv otherwise. Have spell damage here. I have so much, I don't know what to do with all the fucking sustain, to be honest with you. So I just toss on more spell damage. It helps with your healing as well. So one more interesting thing to point out. The good thing about running a Resto Staff in addition to heavy armor, look how much of your magic pool you're going to get back just for completing a heavy attack. Do it one more time. One more time. So you're getting anywhere between 15 to 20% of your entire magic pool back, and in addition, you also get major mending. But that's a small component. If you ever can squeeze in a heavy attack here, definitely do, because you get hella resources back when compared with your Constitution passive and also the passives from the Restoration Staff skill line. Now, let's go over the skills. The skills is kind of the bread and butter of the build. Very 2 basic ones. Ellie Drain. Keep this up as many enemies as you can. It's free to cost. Translates to a shit ton magic recuv, and this helps the damage your procs as well because this is reducing the spell pin, not actual damage. Fossilize. If you're not running this, I suggest you do. You could potentially run the other morph that heals you, but this route is just too good. Plus, it sets them off balance, and just go with Fossilize. Trust me. Burning Talons, the only time I would ever suggest running this is if you're running Elfbane. If you're not running Elfbane, the magic cost for what it does is just not worth it, considering you can roll dodge out of it. If you're running Elfbane, always have this on your bar. If you're not running Elfbane, swap this out for Burning Embers or some other spell. Flame Lash, Power Lash is just really good. Burning Talon sets them off balance. Flame Lash, Power Lash, whatever you want to call it. You get hella damage from it. You're going to get hella healing from it. I tried running Molten Whip, just don't. You need the healing this patch. Last on the front bar is Engulfing Flames. This increases the damage of all flame abilities, including your Grothgar, which already hits like a fucking truck. It's important to hit as many targets with flame abilities as you can to keep the burning stats effect up on as many targets as possible at any given time. So that's why Engulfing Flame is here. Plus it goes through roll dodges, initial damage. It's very, very good and easy to set up with your Talons and Fossilize. Last is our ult. You can play around with this, but for this particular build, Shifting Standard, I would say, is probably the best. You can stack a lot of Befoul points into this from the champion CP to further reduce the healing of people in your standard. With the pots that we're running, the Essence of Speed pots with our Decisive trait on our back bar, essentially, guys, you can have a standard within a standard. Is how much ult you're getting back. It's absolutely ridiculous. So that's why Shifting Standard is here. 34-second duration. By the time that expires, you're going to have your ult again. You just have a permanent standard down and permanently reducing everyone's healing, which is, as you guys know, very crucial this patch. So alternatively, you could run Leap. I kind of alternate between the two. If I'm running a two-man group, usually standard. But if I'm running by myself, I usually alternate between Leap and standard. It's entirely up to you guys. Back bar. Not running Sword and Board. Like I said, all of our mitigation is coming from our explosive amount of healing. Let me see if this actually buffs it. Okay, it doesn't buff it on the tooltip, but imagine that 30% more, right? Alright, so we have Rapid Regeneration. This is probably one of the most cost-efficient heals in the game for what it costs. 2500 Magicka restores 20k health over 5 seconds. This is completely unbuffed. You know, with everything fully buffed, I think this goes to... shit, I don't know. On our back bar, 22k. We'll go to our front bar. It'll be like 23, 24k, something like that. Anyway, we'll go on to our next skill, Coagulating Blood. This gives us major fortitude, increasing health recovery, which is pretty good. We don't have a lot of health recovery, but we do have some. If you're running these potions, it's not a dog shit heal. It's very good. It's actually very good, and that's the importance of having a high health pool as well. Is so you can get better returns on this based on your missing health. You know, say if you had 10k health and you're missing like, 5k health, that's 50%, whatever. So the more health you have, the better this ability works. So this is our burst seal. This gets us out of execute range. This is our oh shit button. If played correctly, you really shouldn't have to use this all too much. There's some circumstances where you just kind of have to, but try avoiding this as much as possible because this is the most expensive spell in our kit. Dragonfire scale. Don't run the other morph. Run this morph. This is how we deal with magic builds. All of projectile damage reduced by 50%. The attacker pretty much takes what would be a Flames of Oblivion proc to the face every half second. This does massive amounts of damage, and this helps squishing up our targets that are attacking us from afar just so we can burst them and get them out of the fucking way because they're annoying. Next is Volatile Armor. The AoE on this is huge. This also helps proc our Overwhelming Surge, which you just saw proc there. Huge ass AoE. They can hit a lot of targets. Plus it does damage, when they're attacking you. Plus this is our resistance buff, an absolute must. Last is our Flex Spot. Now, if you are running the pots that I'm running, they do not give you major sorcery, so it's important for you to have major sorcery on this build because we do have a pretty high spell damage pool. So for that reason, I am running Molten Ornaments. The reason I'm running this is I do heavy attack pretty often on my front bar when I can. You do get a lot of resources back because we are in a heavy armor build. So just having the extra damage from that is actually pretty good. This equates about a power last worth of damage, probably a little bit more in reality. Plus it's a self buff. You don't have to rely on a target to have this up. You can just have this up pretty much indefinitely, and the duration on it is long as fuck. It's 36 seconds, so you rarely have to worry about reapplying this. So that's why this is here. we'll go back to alternate bar setup for other potions in just a moment, but if you are running the essence of speed pots that I showed you, this is definitely what you want to run. Last but not least, on back bar, temporal guard. This is just here for a little bit of outplay potential. Also gives us minor protection on our back bar, reducing incoming damage by 8%. That paired with our healing, paired with our wings, paired with our heavy armor, you're super tanky when you're turtling on your back bar when you have to. Ideally, you don't want to be on your back bar, but when you are, that's why this is there. Now, that does it for the skills. I'm not going to go into all the passives, guys. Just kind of no point. And everything is kind of bolstered here by accident because I hit that just now. But anyway, the alternate setup. If you do not have access to the expensive ass potions, I do run. Actually, let me show you guys two other ones pretty frequently. The first of which is just the Lion Spell Drought. I usually pop these like candy. These are my kind of go-to. In my try-hard moments, I will definitely pop the Essence of Speed. If I feel that I can get a good 1vx clip, I will definitely pop some of these bad boys. But in general, I'll just use the Lion Spell Droughts. This gives us our major sorcery, gives us major intellect, and it gives us crit. Yeah, granted, we can't crit on our front bar, but it's nice to have crit on our back bar as well. So, since we no longer need major sorcery, I would suggest running another heal. This is kind of a flex spot. You can toss on Cauterize. If you want a gap closer, you can use Chains. If you want, if you're more group play oriented, you can run Ash Cloud instead. Everyone's stacking their AoEs. This actually is a pretty heavy hitting dot considering it lasts for fucking ever. So this is also a good alternative. But if you're in solo play, I would definitely run Cauterize. It's a really good filler. So we have rapid regen for good healing over 5 seconds. We have burst healing every 5 seconds with Cauterize, and then in those ship moments we have Coag. So you pretty much have a heal for every situation, just so you can maintain your efficiency on the class. So you don't want to be spamming Coagulate when you're at like 75% health. You know what I'm saying? So rapid regen and Cauterize pair very well together. The other pots I do consistently run are Essence of Detection. This gives us our major sorcery and our major intellect, and this also lets us detect Nightblades. Nightblades are kind of annoying, so this is just help us not waste as much resources chasing them down, just to hurry up and squish them and get them out of the way. The only downside is you do not get crit at all, which is okay, because guess what? We don't crit on our front bar unless it's like a rapid regen or parallax heal or whatever. But on our back bar, we do have Cauterize, which gives us access to Major Prophecy, which gives us that 10% crit increase for our heals, and that's very important with Coagulate. Getting a thick dick Coagulate blood when you're at 20% health and you go up to full immediately because of the restoration passes and the vitality buff is fucking amazing to watch. It kind of reminds me like back in the original vanilla days, or back in when IC just dropped. It's really good feeling, fellas. Okay, so with all that out of the way, the last thing I want to kind of mention is, let me reiterate, this isn't a super secret build. It's been around even way before this patch. But the most efficient way to run this, in my opinion, is what I'm presenting to you guys here today. So don't give me any clout for it. I would greatly appreciate that. I'm just showing you guys how I think is best to run the build. So with that being said, we'll go and hop in our champion points. Last but not least, this time I'm not gonna fuck it up. In my last video, I had some champion points where they shouldn't have. This time I made sure. 1 Siphoner, Sprinter, Warlord, Arcanist. We do have a little bit of magic recover. We do heavy attack every now and then. Tenacity. The rest of your points I would put into Tumbling, Shadow Ward, and then I see I'm missing 63 champion points. Hell, I would toss all those fuckers into Befoul. Like, further increase the healing reduction of your standard and really dig on all those Templars accidentally smart healing each other over and over and over to full. It's really annoying. So yeah. Next is our damage tree. Bless. This helps with our healing, which we desperately need. Have no points in the Elf Warren. For the simple fact that we just don't crit with damage. We do crit with heals. It's nice to get crit with heals, but we're not really relying on that. We're relying on our base damage, not necessarily our base healing, not necessarily our crit healing. Another thing to point out, what bolsters the damage of Overwhelming Surge and Grothgar is LA Expert, Spell Erosion, Master at Arms. Do not put points in the Thaumaturge. I don't care what anyone tells you. It does not bolster the damage of those proc sets. They just don't. I tested it. Trust me. So we got 11% LA Expert, 28 Spell Erosion, Staff Expert, Master at Arms. The remaining 63 points, which I do not have, I would put kind of evenly into Staff Expert and to Spell Erosion. And if you really wanted to, you could put some Elfborn, but it's up to you guys. Next, got 38 Resistance, 56 Ironclad. It's important to have the resilient thing here. This actually really helps. Next, we got Thick Skin, LA Defender, Hardy. Of course, I don't have all the points allocated properly here because I'm missing 63 points in this tree as well. Do have 23 points in the Quick Recovery, Heavy Armor Focus. The remaining 63 points I do not have. I would toss in between Hardy, LA Defender, Thick Skinned, not necessarily Recovery, and maybe some points into Expert Defender just to reduce light attack, because you're always being light attack and heavy attack. So I have this up to like 5 or 10%, even if you can. Champion points, like I said, the champion points are not going to make or break a build. I mean, there's just benefits of you playing the game more than others. It's pretty much what they boil down to. So that does it for the build, guys. I try to keep it short and sweet. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, found it informative. I will be uploading a video tomorrow. Hopefully you guys are interested in this. It's pretty much the basics of theory crafting and how I methodically think about making a build. And my philosophy is that anything can work. You can toss any sets together in ESO and make them work. You really can. Now, the effectiveness, how they work, kind of varies. I'll go in more about that in my video. I'll explain more. I'm not sure if I'm doing it in Paint or I'm just going to have my camera set up and fucking draw this shit out for you. So I think I'm a very graphically, very visual thinker. So I really hope you guys enjoy that instead of, a lot of people asking me, hey, help with the build, help with the build. Well, everyone can make a build. It's not hard. There's pretty much a 3-step process, and I will show you guys how to do that in the next video. So if you want to be notified for that, please click the notification button. Like 80% of you guys are not subscribed that watch this. Hate to be one of those guys, but those are the analytics. I'm not making any money off this, so it really doesn't matter. I just like having a better community, a bigger community. At one point, I'm going to make a Discord. I want to have a lot of people in it that I can, really good friends. It's pretty much going to be a Discord build of theory crafting, casual duels, casual play testing instead of having to go out into battlegrounds and test your builds, instead of having to fucking go out on serial and try to stress test your builds. And this Discord's primarily going to be, focused on that. Alright, so with all that being said, guys, this has been Hoarcrux with his Tempest build. I mean, it's pretty much Firestorm, with all the lightning and the fucking Grothgar shit. But again, hopefully you guys enjoyed it and have a great day. Deuces.